All right, guys,
Okay.
we're live. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to another podcast here on the Southern Illinois Moss YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your night to join us again. We thank you guys for tuning back in with us this week. This week on the panel, I've got, of course, our returning Daniel Benoit and the man, the legend, but the Bigfoot guy. He is back with us. And it is good to finally see him back here. We've been talking about the show, and he's got a lot of good stuff that he's been sharing with us. But until then, go ahead, everybody, say hello. Buck, you're new to the channel, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Alrighty, how's everybody doing tonight? I'm Buck the Bigfoot guy, and I haven't been doing too many of these for a while. Like you say, it's been a bit, but I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad. Thanks everybody for tuning in and joining in and stuff, and looking forward to it. Should be a good time, eh?
Awesome.
So, yeah, go ahead, Zach.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad. Thanks everybody.
It's been a while since you and me have been on here, and this is really the first time in about 2 years that the three of us have been on a show together. The last time we was on a show together, it was Squat Zone Radio, and Daniel had me on as his guest for the first time. So this is it's come full circle.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. When I had Zach on for the first time, that's when ratings like dropped big time. I love you, buddy.
You don't pay for that. Hello everybody. I've got the live chat open. Hello everybody. It's good to see you that's tuned in tonight. This was actually a last minute deal, but I'm glad to actually have people on. It's an open panel tonight, so if anybody that's wants to jump on, Nikki, I see you watching. You're more than welcome to jump on. Just message me. I'll forward you the link. It's an open panel. It's up in the air. We're bringing a couple things to the table. Buck has had a lot of good stuff happen here in the last year. So while we're starting off there, let's start. Buck, the table. You're up to bat, my friend.
Alrighty. Well, there we go. Is that a Bigfoot I heard there? So, anyways, you guys are still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, brother. Yeah, I just sorry, but I just didn't know what that was there. So, yeah, where do I start there? She was Algonquin Park. Now, there's a place over the last few years. I've heard a lot of different things, and I don't know if you guys ever seen the footage that was taken there. That guy got on the back of his car driving out. That big old buck that stood up, eh? That was one that was real impressive. But closer to home for me, I've been getting personal reports out of that area. So lucky enough, we had four of us went in, spent a week backpacking, hiking through, and honestly, I'm not expecting to have anything happen. But the very last night that we spent in there, we had two of them come into camp and mess with us real late at night. I stayed up every night. I was the last one to bed every night. I kind of kept everybody, I stayed up, made sure everything was quiet before I went to bed, kept everything safe. And that last night, I'm just kind of taking my time here. I don't want to miss anything for you guys. This was back in the first part of the summer. Now, let me think. Where do I start with this? So it's a crazy story. So she's just hard to start, eh? This particular campsite, this little lake that we got to, I guess the first weird thing that happened, excuse me, I got there, we got to that lake, and I stopped the group and made everybody take their backpack off and take a little break. And I told them, I said I was going to go scout ahead and check it out. We were at the first campsite, so I was going to go alone, check out the rest of them, see if anybody's around, and if there's better looking campsites, you always pick out the best one, because most of the lakes that we were seeing, like, nobody. You go a few days at a time and see no one at all, just no one. So I scouted ahead alone, and I got down this hill halfway, Here's this young lady by herself down in there with a dog. I didn't know how many people were there at the time. So I went back up the top of the hill and I hollered to keep the dogs in the leash back to my group. And this way I knew that group of people down there, they heard me say that. This way everybody's aware that, we each have dogs. And so I went back to my group and we decided to go ahead and talk to these people, see what was going on, see if there was any better campsites further up. So my buddy Billy and I, we go on into camp, and this is where it gets weird. We meet this young lady, and she's by herself. When I say young lady, she's in her early 20s. She's got a pit bull with her, and she's in on the edge of a nature preserve. She's in I don't know how many miles, but she's in there a ways for a young lady by herself, and she does this. This is strictly backpack camping. You hike every day from site to site. 8 hours a day with backpacks, and you're out there. You don't hear nothing. You're way out, eh? So it was pretty impressive to see a young lady by herself like that and her dog. I got asking her, I said, I was curious about bears. I said, any wildlife activity in the area, any bears or anything? And she said no. The night before, we had been in it too. It was a thunderstorm the night before, all night. She had laid in her tent, this young lady, in this thunderstorm. And she told us, she said the only weird thing with the wildlife was the night before there was like a moose out in the lake that was like singing all night. So my buddy and I just kind of looked at each other like that was weird. And that kind of was like the next day after we went through what we went through in the night. It was kind of like looking back on that. It was like, oh yeah, singing moose, eh? She didn't have a moose. She had a squatch in that lake. I'm convinced of that. I wasn't there to hear it, but I seen the puzzled look on her face. And this is a young lady that grew up in the woods too. She knows what she's doing, and she didn't know what that was she was hearing. Now, as for us, we set up camp, did our normal thing. I went for a walk, and not far from camp, there was a lot of bear scat. So there were bears in the area. And so that made me nervous because I found a big bear living not far from us. That made me nervous. So I got a big pile of firewood, and I stayed up until 4 a.m. And everything went all quiet. Normal night. I went to bed. I'm the last one. Like I say, everybody's in. Now there were two. There was myself and Heather, and Billy and Cecily, and they had their dog, and we had our dog. So I go on in and I lay down in the tent. Now, I'm getting just a little bit ahead of myself. Now, me being a Bigfoot guy, I'm going to mess around a little after dark there before everybody goes to bed, do a couple hoots or hollers or stick knocks or whatever. Now, that night there, for some reason, I had picked up these 2 sticks, and it was almost dark kind of thing, eh? And I was down there at the end of camp, me and Billy, and I was doing a rhythm. I was trying to, you ever see on these Bigfoot shows, they'll do the stick knock, and it's like a double tap real fast. Well, I was trying to do that, eh? So I was kind of doing this tap, 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 tap. And that was about it, So now I'll go back to my story where I was there. That's very important that I had that in there. That's what I did. So like I say, the whole night goes by, and I'm tired. This is the last night. I had done this every night. We hike all day long, and I'd stay up all night. And any one of the other 3 people that were with me will tell you that's what I did every night and kept the camp safe. So this night, 4 a.m, I crawl into bed in my tent, and crawl in beside Heather and my dog Diggy. He's down at the end of the bed there. And I start to pass out. The fire dies down. And it did. As the fire starts to go right out, it starts to get dark in the campsite, I start to slowly drift off. Everybody else is sound asleep, as far as I know. The other party's asleep, and Heather's asleep. And I'm almost asleep, and there it is. I get this little tap tap on the other end of camp. And I don't think the first one probably didn't even really completely arouse me, out of my falling asleep. But they didn't stop. Tap, 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 tap. Then, as I'm laying there, I get another one about 20 feet. I can hear it. This is about 20 yards at the end of my camp here. There's one. And there's another one about 20 feet behind him, and he starts doing it opposite the other one. So you get tap, 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 tap from the one behind, tap, tap from the one in front, tap, tap from, and they're doing this in sync. So I'm laying there, and if I dare move, right, they're gone. So I'm thinking, okay, at least let them maybe come into camp, and then I can run out of the tent as fast as I can or something to see them, you know what I mean? Like something, let them come in. And that's half what I'm thinking. The other half of me, being so tired and laying there almost on the verge of being asleep, half of me is thinking, oh, guys, not now, you know. So it keeps going. Just tap, 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 tap. And then I'm almost thinking to myself, gee, you know, if that was a Bigfoot, you would think maybe you might get a wood knock. But not this. I'm thinking I'm in a park. It's the middle of the night. I've got a couple of guys that have crawled into their belly, and this is probably people messing with me doing this. Yeah, even though this was the exact same stick knock, this was, if somebody did that, it'd be a miracle. I mean, for people to do that. There was no sound of these things coming in. They crept in when I was passing out is what they did. But they kept this up, this tap, 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 tap. And then the one in front, the one closest to us, he moved ahead, and that made me nervous, you know. So I become fully alert in my tent. I'm listening to every sound, and I know exactly how far away from my tent he is because I can hear it, and I know where he is. I can hear him. The one behind him, you could just feel that in the air. When he moved forward, that one behind him, he got scared. You could just even feel it through his wood knock. Just that slight change in pitch where his hands were shaking. He got nervous of that one moving forward. He didn't like that at all. So anyway, I lay there. And the whole time, you guys, Daniel, Zach, I swear to God, I am laying there and I'm waiting for the dogs to just erupt, to lose their minds. Someone's in our camp. Either it's people or it's Bigfoot, or some other animal I don't know about doing wood knocks, but somebody's there doing this, messing with us. Now, the dogs didn't react to this because this was not an aggressive knocking. This was quiet. It's tap, 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 tap. You're not talking birds. You know, this was stick knocks. But it was very quiet. It was so subtle that them dogs, neither one of them moved. Neither one, like Diggy was in my tent. And I'm waiting. He's laying against my leg, and I could feel him, and he never flinched. He never moved. And so anyway, I lay there, and that one that come in forward, after he moved ahead, this only went on for another minute. And then it went silent, you know. And I gave it, an hour or so. I laid there, at least hour and a half, before I finally let myself fall asleep, knowing that the rest of them would be up probably within an hour or so. The sun is going to be right around the corner and be up, eh? So, fellas, the sun comes up the next day, and I finally come out of that tent, and I'm sitting there half asleep, and somebody said something about okay, hang on. You guys are just being quiet. You guys are still there, right?
Yeah, we just have we're just muted, so we're not interrupting you with any kind of feedback.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure somebody was listening.
Oh yeah, we're here.
I apologize to your audience because you know me, I'm not used to being on podcasts, so I just want to make sure that was normal. I know I get talking, and so yeah. Sorry,
you're doing great.
Place. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what.
I'm actually getting into this. As you're telling it, I'm almost putting myself in the story because I kind of feel what's going on here.
When it happens, it happens. But Daniel, the best part of this story is it ain't over, brother. Like, I'll tell you what. I come out of that tent the next morning, boys, and I'm sitting there, and somebody kind of smiled at me or something. One of the girls said, "How was your night or whatever?" Right? And I kind of chuckled and I said, "Well, it would have been good if it wasn't for the two Bigfoots in here doing wood knocks all goddamn morning. You guys slept through it." And at the same time, every one of them said, "No, you know, we didn't." And everybody was looking at each other shocked. them wood knocks, that tap, 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 it woke up Billy and Cecily. They both laid there thinking that each other were asleep, and it woke up Heather. And she laid there thinking that I was asleep. No one moved. And their dog never moved either. It's amazing how the dogs just didn't pick up on that. Like that's what it just baffles me, you know. I'll never be able to explain that. I think if it was more louder knocks, more of an aggressive knocking, it would have. But I think they were able to, the way they made those stick knocks, they may not even have known who was awake. I bet you they knew I was awake, though. They knew I was the guy that stayed up all night watching camp. Clearly, they had saw that. They knew I was the guy. They probably saw that, me monkeying around with the sticks, you know. They may have been following us because I was doing stuff like that every night just to see if I'd get a response or anything. What was it? The second night in, I got some kind of a howl response back, and the girls got a little upset. And I reassured them. I said, you know what? I said, I guarantee you that's just some guy over there heard me, you know, monkeying around. So who? I didn't know if it was or not. I could say that now. At the time, they'd kill me if they were sitting here and heard that. But, you know, to make them feel better, it's like, no. You know, that's just some guy. So who knows, eh? Being a Bigfoot guy, you're going to monkey around like that. But that was really something. That was, you know, that it was mind-boggling to me. Billy and I were talking about that later, and he initially said that in the tent, because I told him, I said, I thought that was people at first. He said, so did I. He said, you know, same thing. So we weren't being real naive, just automatically anybody just thinking Bigfoot, because I did wonder about people. I mean, we were in a national park, right? But I don't think so myself. I was there. I went through that, you know. I experienced that, and man, I don't know if you guys got any questions or something.
Yeah, I find that very fascinating because I feel it's safe to. I personally, just thinking about and hearing what you shared, I feel that we could actually probably rule out people on the most part, because you described hearing them between 20 feet to 20 yards. 20 yards, that's very close. You know?
Yes. 20
I mean,
yards,
that's 6
yeah.
feet away.
Yeah.
So if people, the thing is, yeah, it may be a national park, but nowadays you would think if you're going to get that close and try to mess with people, you know, a person would have to think, and if I mess with the wrong person, I could get shot.
I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Well, I know. I'm right.
I know. Like, no, but you're right, though. Like, I'm a healthy guy, and I wouldn't do that.
Right.
If you mess with the wrong guy, you're getting her. Yeah. Especially here where I am. You don't do that. No. You know,
well, because you know you had family there, you had your daughter there, you know, so if something happened, I mean, you would do whatever you had to do to protect people if it came down to that. But
one more thing that we talked about as a group the next day, even right there in camp, if it were people, right, they would have kept doing something until they got like us up and shining a light out of the tent, hollering something like, who's there or something, you know, I'm scared, right? If it were people, they would have kept it. If this was people, why'd they just silently sneak away as quiet as they snuck in when they just couldn't get a response?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not somebody, I mean, who goes out of their way to do that and then just give up and then crawl back out? Why wouldn't you just get up and walk out? Okay, you didn't get a response. Whatever this was didn't get up and walk out. It crawled back out. Never made a sound, you know? So there's that too. Yeah, there's that.
Well, on the live chat, I'm seeing the Kevin Ellis on the live chat mentions if it was people at 20 yards, the dogs would have gone nuts at the least start, or they would at least start growling. Or
Yeah. They should. And like I said, I was laying there waiting for that to happen, and they never did. I didn't kick my dog or nothing. I was waiting for him to catch it on his own, and he didn't. And but like I said, now if it was people, it would have been a little more aggressive. Like, we want you guys to wake up and hear this. You know, we're messing with you. If it was people messing with you, they're messing with you. They're gonna want some kind of a reaction to know that their time they're putting into this little prank is worth it, right? who, like I say,
right?
Yeah. So we never
I did a field investigation back in the early part of June before I come out to Virginia, and the guy that I was staying on his property with, who's a member of Cryptid CSI, he pays attention to his dogs because he's not really able to go out into the woods. He listens to his dogs. His dogs are the alarm system, pretty much security alarm, and them dogs don't miss whenever it comes to catching anything. Of course, there's a lot of people that go and they. I had a guy back on Backwoods Investigations on season 2, Rick Daniels. He was talking about how whenever he's out in the woods, he goes and tries to draw a Sasquatch, and he'll take out a of dog hair that he picked up from a local groomer and let scent permeate the area. But it seems like Sasquatch and dogs have like a natural rivalry going on. It seems if the more they get along, if the dogs raise a fuss, the Sasquatch doesn't bother with them. But if they raise a fuss, then head on war with them.
Yeah, that seems to be the case a lot. And my dog, he was still young at the time, but my boss's dog was not. Now, he is basically a guard dog. He's got a family to protect, and he's got his mommy and daddy in that tent. And if he'd have thought there was a person out there, he would have lost it. And his name's Jersey. He's a damn good dog. He'll be going back with us this summer. We've already got the trip booked. This time, just the boys are going, though. The girls aren't going. And the dogs are going.
Speaking of girls, we got one that's joined us tonight, Miss Nikki Cologne. She's on here. She's waiting quietly. Hi, Miss Nikki.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Nikki.
I'm a silent listener. Unless Fred's on, then I'm the loud one.
Exactly.
Well, I want to mention that you were talking about, next time it's just going to be boys. Now, let me ask you, how often have you gone out camping and had females with you?
Oh, not too often like that. Not too often like that. Cecily, that was her second year going there. And it was funny because before the lake we were at, she was really afraid of. I could see it in her. She had not a Bigfoot encounter, nothing squatchy happened. She had bad feelings at that lake a couple of years before when she was there. And she said she just had that feeling like there was something like a Bigfoot kind of out there watching her. And it was kind of funny that this happened just up the road at the next lake. The lake where she was the year before, I wanted to go into so bad and check that out with the stories that she telling me. I can't remember them all exactly right now, but then there was another sister lake to it, and it was just as scary there. I'll tell you, it was bad. We got in there, and the whole campsite was like overgrown. Like if a bear was just wandering around foraging, he could just bump into your tent. Yeah. Like it was just that was the one campsite that really wasn't cleared out very well at all for that. Eh?
Well, yeah. The reason I asked about regarding the females involved is because, I know others have experienced and shared their experiences, but through observations, I've noticed, and don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of stuff on my own, but always having females involved or in the area, it seems like it triggers or it seems to spark some kind of extra activity. It raises like the activity level more than what it would normally be. A lot of people believe it could be a pheromone or just something about it, that triggers.
Yeah. Well, we had the two young ladies, and like I said, if you go back in my story, there was a young girl sleeping in this campsite the night before. When we got there, she was just starting to pack up. So we just stayed in her camp, Daniel. So, you know what I mean? You got one single girl by herself that was there. And I don't know if she was there. She might have been there 2 nights by herself. And thank God she did leave that night when she did. You know what I mean? If something like that was going to happen, I'll thank God for that for the rest of my life, that young lady was not alone for that third night when they moved in. And like you say, we had 2 other girls, but then having 2 guys and 2 dogs, they got close, but they didn't come any closer. When I was telling you that story, I become fully alert when the closest one moved like 20 feet closer, 10 feet closer. When that happened, I kind of said in my head, I said, that's enough, big boy, right there. You take one more step. No, you take one more step. I don't have a choice. I'm coming out of the tent. I don't have a choice. I have people to protect, so I have to come out. If something, whether it's a bear or a Bigfoot, I have to come out and scare it away, right? I can't have that. I can't have that walking up to, the girls.
There's a feller on the live chat. He said, Kevin Ellis, what if Sasquatch was trying to get the dogs worked up just so the dogs would possibly run after and make an easy meal out of them?
Yeah. I think if that was the case, they would have been knocking a little louder. It seemed more like a personal message kind of to the guy that stayed up all night guarding the camp, the guy that wandered off that night and found the bears, the guy that did those wood knocks the exact same way before everybody went to bed that night. Like I say, I was doing those same wood knocks, that double tap. I had seen that on a Bigfoot show or something about this double tap thing, how it was working for a lot of people. So I was trying it, and they came back with that exact rhythm. Wow. So whether it was people or Bigfoot, whoever it was laying out there in the bush and heard me doing that before the night. Then they waited till like 4 a.m. when the camp fire went out, when everybody was asleep. They probably thought that I was out and they were going to re-wake me up, which they did in a way. I mean, I was just falling asleep when it started. Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to go on and on with it. It's just, it's kind of the first time I've had been able to talk to anybody with this particular incident that happened and tell the story and have interaction like that, because, it's really great to do that. Like I say, so I'm just trying not to forget anything. I don't mean to go on and on though.
Oh, no. We like details whenever it comes to giving an encounter.
Yeah, for sure. And this year, I'm going to have to take 2 game trails with me and try and hang them up top of the trees and have them facing down on each end of camp. Try and look at the area where they'll sneak in again. Maybe now, if we're not going to have the girls there, like Daniel said, maybe there's something else we can do. Maybe I should spray some perfume around camp at night or something before bed, just to trick them, or try to, yeah. Hang up a clothesline and put up some girls' clothes on it or something for the night. I'll take some of Heather's shirts or something. Yeah, whatever it takes to get them in. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Next time you do go camping and you got females with you, have them, like, especially as the evening gets starts to come. When the sun starts to go down, it starts to get a little dark. Yeah, have them do some howls, and because I think sometimes the tone of their voice too will alert if there's anything around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I believe that might help.
These girls, they wouldn't have been willing to do that. These girls, because they were afraid of something like that, because they didn't want that. But I know what you mean, though. That the girls, there's not all girls are brave out there, and the ones that are, your hats off to them, because they do have a very good chance, I believe, too, of even getting like a really good video. The world needs, if we can pause for a minute from my little story and everything else in the world needs more proof that Bigfoot's actually there. The world needs something like I hate to say it, but something like the Roger Patterson film, but more modern day and clear. We need a real good, like, not to awaken the Bigfoot community. We're already awake. We're already all here. It's the rest of the world. If everybody could see, hey, look, that thing may actually really, really, really be out there. Man, that's a key that we just don't hold yet in the Bigfoot community, and we need to. We really, really, really got to work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt you real quick. Zach, send Baltimore the link. He's
on it.
All right, cool.
No, but like you was talking about with Bigfoot being attracted to women and everything. I was actually talking whenever I was at the gala that I was at. Documentary crew I led. There was a girl in there that was asking me a lot of questions, and they were wanting to go out in March whenever I lead the investigation. And they was talking about do Bigfoot seem to be attracted to? And I said, well, my friends Kruse and Jena Grover, the Squatchers, they go out, and it's all female group. and they seem to pull more results than any all male group I've ever seen. I was in a private chat about a year ago when I was talking to folks, and I was wondering if it's the voice of the female, like this, women and children, where Sasquatch is, and an attractant. I class them together because they're not as a threat, a physical dominant threat. They'll go when they are like in the culture and the God, what's the word I'm trying to think of? The habits in the clans of a Sasquatch. It's just seen like the male's dominant, the female knows her place in the culture of a Sasquatch, and they'll associate what the female Sasquatch do. This is just a theory. I'm not trying to sound like no expert. They'll associate the same deal with female Sasquatch with human females and children.
Yeah, well, it's, and a lot of that is basic nature. I mean, for the most part, there are certain cases where your females are the hierarchy, the alpha female. But yeah, you figure most a lot of nature, it's your males that are the alpha males. You know what I mean? And yeah, you can see that where with the ladies, like you say, they may not feel as threatened. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've never had a Bigfoot run up and try and attack me. Probably never will. Maybe when I get a lot older and I can't defend myself so well. You know what I'm saying? Right? I mean, they just don't.
Right.
They're not so eager to just jump into a fight with you, even if you could probably take me real easy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're just not so eager to jump out of the bush and be your friend or fight you. Not really.
I agree with you, because I can relate to a story that I've probably shared numerous times. It was actually a couple of years ago, well, 3 years ago, but we're almost 4 years now. But it was like when I was camping. It was during hunting season, and it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. There was no other campers or hunters that were camping out in the area, in that one particular area where I was at. But I had a fire going. I had my blazer, down there, and I decided to walk out to the road, and in the middle of the forest road, and I had a spotlight in my hand. And like I said, the spotlight wasn't turned on. I didn't turn it on until after I got to the middle of the road.
Yeah, I do that a lot too. I don't.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just in hopes for what I mean, if for the very reason, or for what did happen, because I get out in the middle of the road, it's dead quiet. You don't hear nothing. And then all of a sudden you pull the trigger on that spotlight and start shining in the woods. And, one of the things I heard right away was a deer. I didn't see it. You hear it run off. Like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, I spooked a deer. All right. So I'm still panning the spotlight. I'm going from my left to my right. Now, as I get to my right, now keep in mind, I did not see what I heard next. But the more I think about it and the more I just I'm convinced that it wasn't a bear. It was something much larger and it was bipedal. Because what I heard next was something I must have spooked. If it knew I was there, apparently it was going away because maybe it thought I spotted it.
Yeah.
But what I heard next was sound of bipedal steps, so large, so heavy. Every step was crunching and thumping as it stepped. And it wasn't running, but the walk wasn't slow either.
No.
You can hear. And when I started hearing that, man, I mean, I was a little on edge. I was actually seriously starting to feel frightened because I'm by myself. I'm unarmed. My shotgun was leaning against my blazer, so I'm walking back towards camp. But when I heard that, I was like, so whatever that was huge. I mean, I've had bear. I've seen so many bears. And the thing is, a bear can sneak up on you. You'll never know it because a bear is very quiet. And unless they're snorting and grunting on their way up to you, but
if they don't know you're there and they're just going about there, but they'll be farting and starting. You say making noise, But if they're stalking you, you'll never hear them coming.
Yeah,
not unless you're very lucky,
right?
But I personally, and everybody has their own opinion. But even though I didn't see what was walking away from me, I personally feel that it was a possible Squatch. I really do. You know, and I'm usually I'm very objective on the most part.
You have to be, yeah. You know.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm thinking I have to also consider the history of this part of the woods, what's happened, what's been experienced out of here, what I found in here, and it's just the thing is, even though I was by myself, you know, I had to carefully analyze in my mind what I heard, you know, and the sound of it and the steps that you know that there was something large on 2 feet walking away from me.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I was bringing that up because it was going along with what you were saying, that I believe if it wanted to hurt me, well, it could have came out at me and easily probably snapped me like a twig, you know.
Yeah, I wonder, you know, like with some of the David Pilotti stuff, and we're all aware of that. I wonder just how much of that, some of it may be contributed to Sasquatch, some of it may be grizzly bears, you know, and other things. But you may have some that will, but I believe most. If the species would have been proven to exist a long time ago, if they were highly aggressive towards humans, you know what I mean? It would have been easier to get one. It would have been easier to get one if they were attacking people all the time, like a lot more, as secretively as they could. Like being very. I have a dog that's very sneaky. Okay, it's not Bigfoot, but it's very sneaky. So if Bigfoot's smarter than my dog, and he's being sneaky and he's killing too many people, sooner or later, he's going to get trapped by Navy SEALs. He's going to get lured in. He's going to try and kill somebody. It's the wrong guy. We've all seen those movies. You know what I mean? It would be so easy to do. So obviously they're not killing people left, right, and center. However, you put yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time. It may be your last moment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the reason whenever I go on a night hunt, I don't go anywhere packing a 20 gauge.
No, I still take it serious when I go too. I don't understand people that don't. I mean, this is Bigfoot. You know, since when did it? I mean, I grew up in the woods. I know the rules. I know the way it works out there. Eh? There's reality in the woods, and no matter what you see on TV or what people tell you, that don't change nothing out there. Eh? It's it's kill or be killed. Eh? Like the wild is what it is. So, you know, you'll have animals that can be friendly. You'll have animals that can be more aggressive. It just all depends. But, yeah, something like that, obviously, it's not killing all the time. It's trying to stay hidden. You know, it really is, eh? Yeah.
Well, I'll interrupt you, but we got another feller in here on the call all the way from County, Texas, from B County Bigfoot Researchers, Mr. Baltimore Gavan Jr. And howdy, Baltimore.
How you doing?
All right. We got a nice panel going on.
Yeah, an all-star panel.
Yeah.
Even the North Carolina Squatch Watchers might even join us.
I know.
Well, Nikki's been very, very quiet tonight. Because she got booted from the panel, and I thought she left because we weren't talking. But Nikki, go ahead and say something, okay, honey? I don't want you to be left out.
I'm on my iPad, and it goes off and on whenever it wants to. So I just have to keep trying and trying again. But, no, I'm here. I love listening to these stories. So, I mean, I've never had my own experience, so I'm a believer, but I'm not a knower. You know, and the more that time goes by, I become more and more skeptic. But that's my own fault because, you know, I haven't gone out much lately. So I will. I'll get back out there once my kids are on their own more and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, I can't stop. I can't stop learning about Bigfoot. I can't stop learning about any of the cryptids or the paranormal. It's just something that I've loved my whole growing up, you know, and I've always gone camping. My dad always took us out there. He taught us about the woods, and I love it, you know. I mean, now that I've older and have my own family, it's harder for me to get out there and do that because I don't live next to the woods anymore like I used to when I grew up. So that's
while this is still fresh in my memory, Nikki, you talked whenever it was on one of Daniel's podcasts. I think it was about 2 or 3 months ago. It was over in New Mexico with the observatory thing around the.
Oh, yeah.
Give us an update on that. I've been wanting to get at that for a while. Have you got an update?
It's the weirdest thing. It has completely shut down. There has been no news about it. There is nothing in the New Mexico news or in that whole area along that mountain. Nothing. Like there were a bunch of articles about why they shut that mountain down and that observatory down for that week or however long it ended up being. But it was just too many weird circumstances involved with the shutdown of that area. And they made it seem like they were searching for somebody who was armed and dangerous or something like that. But the feds came in and took over. Why would the feds do that? You know? There's really two possible. Well, it could be. The first possibility is that it was an armed and dangerous felon, and it was, the FBI took over. 2, it had to do with the Bigfoot, and they were trying to squash any information. Or 3, they saw a damn UFO up there in that observatory, and they're trying to cover up anybody from knowing about it.
You know what?
Well, that's what raises a red flag. I don't mean to cut you off, Daniel. That raises a red flag to me because if it was an armed criminal, they would already caught that sucker and put him in the pen. They would open that thing back up. So it's either two things. It's a Bigfoot. It's some kind of Bigfoot or some other cryptid that's been sighted in the area. They don't want people to know about it. They don't want to cause mass hysteria. Or 2, it's some kind of lab experiment gone wrong, and they've just don't want people to go up there, say they've already killed it already, and it's just laying there in that observatory rotten and everything, and they don't want people to go up there screwing around.
Right. Because there was a lot of news. There was a lot of different little papers and stuff carrying the information about it, and then it just stopped. Because I was really interested in it, so I kept, searching about it, and it just stopped. There was nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something fishy going on there. Because didn't you say wasn't the local police? Yeah, the local police were even told to not be involved with something.
Yeah, it was all being done by originally by the police in the area, and I don't know if it was reservation or not. If that part right there is covered by them, but it's very close to a reservation. It's very close to the Mescalero Indian Reservation, but it didn't sound that way. It sounded like it was regular state police and the locals, because Cloudcroft, New Mexico is right down the street or up the street from there. And they were told to leave. So that was the last article that came out.
And you mentioned, as of right now, the whole park or the whole area is shut down, like no public access?
Was. My understanding, it is back up and everything. It's open.
Okay. Cause see that there, if it was still if it was still closed down, yeah, that there would have really kind of shot a bigger red flag too. But
I believe it's back to normal now. I believe so.
Gotcha. Yeah, because maybe, like what Zach mentioned. I know we talked about it before, but maybe there was, this is just us talking and shooting the shit, but maybe there was a sighting that maybe freaked people out, and maybe something happened and they don't want it to be put out there, but they sure did. Whatever happened or whatever went on, they sure did make a big fuss about it, though.
Yeah. In the beginning, it was big news. Everyone was like, ooh, what's going on? More so is that we're the largest, El Paso is the largest city next to them. Well, it was Alamogordo, but that's still not as big as El Paso. So if it was somebody fleeing, I was like interested. I wanted to know if there's going to be somebody armed and dangerous that could be headed our way.
Right.
And since we're on the border, I mean, this is the fastest way to get out of the country is right here. So,
because that raises a lot of flags. Because back in the 70s, whenever the Muddy Monster Bigfoot reared its head back on the Big Muddy River back in the 70s, the cops were involved. The first sighting at Riverside Park, the cops actually investigated that night, and there was no feds called in at all. Why would it be any different back then to today? Do you think it's just more awareness by the government? What you guys' thoughts on that?
could be. Really could be. I mean, we don't know. Nobody knows if it's a whole government cover up, Maybe they do know about these things, and because of all the sightings at Fort Drum in New York, there's been sighting, and in California there's been supposedly sightings on bases. Who knows?
Yeah, I think and this kind of bringing or raising that question up. Does the government know? Well, the thing is, if they do, and I'm not no expert when it comes to military and government, but the main thing is, if there was a cover up, their main thing is they wouldn't be trying to act like they're covering something up. That's how a lot of times they work. They usually try to keep things on the down low and keep things
discretion.
Yeah, exactly. So then again, I mean, it's a mystery with whatever was going on down there. But
I think if the government can cover it up, that means they can find it. So that's good, because that means that we can find it and we'll expose it. Yeah. You know what I mean? We just got to be just as smart as they are. So I don't know. They may be covering up some things, but sooner or later somebody's got to bump into one and have a good camera.
Like you was talking about the government having intel on everything, that brings if they're able to find it, I undoubtedly have no doubt in my mind they have equipment that they can actually track and everything, because they have all the drones flying around with heat and thermal imaging on it, night imaging. But there's one thing that brings to mind about the government having intel and able to watch you and everything. Ed Brown at the ECBRO conference told me and my mom that he was at Roswell, New Mexico at the crash site, and he took his drone up, and it was a little drone that hooked up to his phone that had a camera on it. He got a message across his phone says, "Call back in your drone or we'll take control of it."
What?
Yeah, I am not shitting you.
Yeah, because they have a major computer system on the ground. They can probably hack into anything they want.
Right. Baltimore, what's new with you, brother?
Just doing some hunting. Just overworked. I had a lot of my wild turkeys are actually real weird. I haven't. It's like September, October, November, I would see like 30, 40 of them. I mean, in the fields and everything. Now I can't even see one. So their roosting patterns have been really off. They have been because they've been roosting on top of these old oak trees for years, and now I go hunt in this area where I know where I could hear them roosting at or flying up there, and now I can't. And they're like totally gone, or something is around there that's really scaring them off. So, yeah, so I've been hearing a lot of noises that I'm not too familiar with now. I have my trail cams up and try to catch it, and nothing. I had one failed trail cam where I actually killed deer and actually put the guts and the rib cages and everything like that up. I went up there the next morning, everything was gone. I checked my camera, and the camera didn't work. So I am blaming my camera, nothing dealing with the paranormal stuff or nothing like that. I should have put brand new batteries in it when I put my stuff out there. So I'm doing it as something went wrong with my batteries. So I'm hoping to go deer hunting next weekend and probably do the same thing in the same spot and to put fresh batteries on there to go see what's actually. I mean, they took everything, the rib cage. I mean, took out everything. No drag marks, no nothing. So, don't know what it was. I kind of kick myself many a times. I basically missed one opportunity, but I'll be ready for the next time.
There's something that was just brought up in the live chat. Kevin Ellis says with night vision, I guess he's referring to FLIR and thermal. With night vision, why couldn't Sasquatch be smart enough to cover itself with mud or something to keep it from being seen on a thermal?
Well, I feel like this, Zach. It's we're dealing with a creature that is totally intelligent, and his speed is what he has dealing with his advantage, and also he could just get very 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 quickly into these woods. Dealing with the heat senses or anything like that. I believe that. I mean, he's super quick. He can move around like he can move around quite a bit.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, Mama.
Oh, okay. He got a phone call.
Oh.
Huh. There was something I was gonna say. Oh, North Carolina Squatch Watchers are asking you, Nikki, are you going to the ECBRO con?
Oh, I want to. It's all in the hands of the Lord. We'll see what comes next year.
I do got a question for you, Nikki, since you're right down there on the border with all this deal going on with the migrants. It's nothing political, but there was a guy right there in San Antonio, a guy by the name of Michael Anthony Sanchez. He brought it to my attention because he was coming up here. He was going to stop in Marion at the truck stop on the way to Detroit, and he told me about this story about where he talked to a migrant that had been viciously attacked while crossing the border by some animal. And Michael took him to the local ER and got him patched up. And he said, the migrant said, there's something out there that attacking us and stalking us and killing us there in the desert before the border. And there's something that's really really going and making all the migrants on edge. It's they're scared to death. And he says it resembles a werewolf type creature, some canid cryptid. Have you heard anything about this?
I actually did hear that story too, that there was something attacking people out there, and a lot of it got dismissed as just wolves, the Mexican wolves out there. They can get pretty large in that area, and but there's a real strong belief in skinwalkers and all that too. So as far as it being an actual Sasquatch or something, I highly doubt that. I think it would be more along the lines of a canid or a chupacabra or something along that lines. But I don't know any more than that. I think it was all dismissed.
I just got a phone call a few seconds ago, and somebody just finished calling me, and the place that I go hunting at, and comes up there, and this certain person knows everything that there is to know about these woods, and she's saying that there's stuff that she's hearing at this moment in this place that she has never heard before. And it's kind of throwing me off now because it's something like when they're yelling, it's actually like rolling something. Like
really?
Their tongue or something. And so the area that she's talking about, it is like 3 different locations, and they're like basically calling to each other. And the coyotes are going like crazy there at this moment. So, but it's pretty wild. So she just called me up. She asked me if I ever heard of anything like that before. I said, no, this is the very first time that I ever heard anybody describing as something like rolling its roar. So I'm just kind of curious to go out there right now and to go see, check if I could hear it myself.
That's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've actually heard something like that.
Yeah, and then so, but the thing is, but there is something, because Bigfoot has been in this area for a very long time, and then if I don't, I believe that there's different species of Bigfoot. Some of them describe them as dogmen or whatever, something dealing with a big snout or short snouts or whatever species that they are. Some people say they're more than one species of Bigfoot. And because right now we just don't know what's in the woods right now, especially at night, because we only could see stuff that's in the daytime. Humans can't, and then so there's very few things that we could actually see at night. I went up there this afternoon and was cooking some barbecue, and I didn't have no light with me, and then so I was just by smell and making sure that my steak was cooked right. And then so I was looking out there and I was going, well, an animal just like Bigfoot, I could have just imagined what his eyesight would be like if he could actually see in the dark that long, and how important it is for moonlight for him to see his prey, just to go hunting. So I mean, you're talking about an animal that that could actually see at night without no problem, could hunt at night with no problem. We can't do that. The only way that we can hunt is through light and lights or torches or whatever, or infrareds and whatever. But these animals, basically depend on just their eyesight alone and possibly even their smell. So.
Well, Daniel just sent me something, and while he sent it to me, I'm going to go ahead and do the presentation of it. And let's see, can you guys all see it all right?
All we see is the screen of Baltimore. Oh, there we go. Now you can do it.
Can you see it?
Yeah,
all right, Daniel, go ahead. A rundown on this deal.
Well, since I can't scroll down on it since you're on that page. You'll have to scroll down a little bit. For those who haven't visited, this is the you can hold it right here for a second. This is the official website for the Virginia Bigfoot Con that's going on for June for 2019, June 29th and June 30th, 2019. It's the ECBRO annual Virginia Bigfoot Con. It will be held at the Best Western Pun Inn and Conference Center in Waynesboro, Virginia, and we welcome all to join us. And then once we scroll down, we do have a list of speakers on there so far. And this is our lineup so far for 2019. The Squatchers, Zach Sterick, Uncharted Para-Cryptid Studies with that's Michael Cook and his fiancee Gwendolynn, Fred Kenny, North Carolina Squatchers, and as of now, I don't know why it's not showing his first name, but Ken Gearhart.
Hold on, I'll fix this deal right quick.
So,
because it's not showing up on the live feed, but we'll see how that works.
All right. So, and actually, if you scroll down,
into this.
No, you're doing just fine.
There we go.
If you scroll down a little bit more, this is the list so far, and if you scroll down, I'll have I actually got their logos. There's a facility, and right here below the picture of the facility, there's a map. If you click on that, it'll give you a map quest directions, and then of course we have all the logos to the speakers that I just listed, which is below this.
There we go.
There we go. And as you see from top left to right, we got the North Carolina Squatchers, Squatchers, Virginia Mountain Bigfoot Research Organization, and Southern Illinois Monster Hunters, Zach Sterick, Uncharted Para-Cryptid Studies, and Mr. Ken Gearhart. So, yes, sir.
That is awesome.
Okay. Well, I got this pulled up. Because all I got to do is go back to this thing. Let's see if it'll work. Take on habituation. Don't y'all join at once.
Well, I lost audio for a second there.
Hey, wait a minute. Is that a Oompa Loompa up against a tree with a headlight?
Kiss my ass, Daniel Benoit. No. This right here is a picture that was taken during the documentary crew. This tree right here is a big old white oak tree, and I call it the grandfather tree. And it's one of the biggest trees on my property, and you see how it's two different trees growing out of the same trunk, and then it forks at the top. But right here where the little break in the two trees are, is where I leave a tobacco offering. And I've started leaving tobacco like Copenhagen, Grizzly tobacco, leave a little pinch there, and it permeates the air. And do a little speech and everything, and I'll say, you're more than welcome to show yourself to us. If you would like to, that's good. If you don't want to, that's good too. All we ask is you give us a sign of your presence, and then we go about then I go about the night hunt. This was taken that night of the night I took the documentary crew out, and it delivers. But I want to get y'all's input on it. What is everybody's take whenever it comes to habituating? Baltimore, you're one of the white people on the chat, so I'll let you start first.
Okay. Normally, normally when we put tobacco and stuff like that down, is basically asking the spirits for permission to do certain things. For example, if we're going to remove some branches or stuff off the tree, we always leave an offering to the grandfather and also to the tree, and is also, and even when we take an animal, so we actually pray over the animal. That's the kind of stuff that we normally do. So it's basically it's a respect and it's an honor thing when it's dealing with the creator and stuff, dealing with the stuff of the forest. Is always good to to respect and honor these animals and whatever lives inside the woods, and is basically trying to get permission from them, basically permission from the spirits for us to go there and come in a safe way and return in a safe way. There's sometimes too is some of the tribes would actually leave an offering of like food, for example, meat or even fruits and vegetables around an area like that, for Bigfoot or the rest of the animals that come by. It's basically an honor, and there's sometimes also too is we also need to learn how to, that's one thing that a lot of people fail to do is a lot of people take their water bottles and they throw them out there, their plastic water bottles up there. They just don't know how to respect nature. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, they're not biodegradable.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to habituating, in my opinion, I really think people confuse habituating with gifting. Because in my opinion, I believe there is a big difference. Like, what Baltimore has mentioned, people, you leave in certain things. And a lot of people, that's how people do. People will leave different items, anywhere from trinkets to food, and and they'll come back and check on that and see that, oh, okay, it's gone, and people believe, okay, Bigfoot's either taking it, but then that goes back to where they're neglecting. Could be a bear, could be a raccoon, but,
exactly.
and they fail to realize that too. But But as far as gifting and habituating, I think people need to understand that habituating is actually witnessing the subject that you're studying and watching their behavior, observing their behavior, and seeing how they react to you. And because habituating could be kind of very touchy, though. Because I mean, if you take the time to look how primatologists, and wildlife biologists actually take time to go when they go out in the field, when they actually do habituating. Like, for example, I'll use a primatologist. I use Jane Goodall, for example. She's very famous for habituating, where she's out there in the field having physical contact, close observations of watching the chimpanzees, the gorillas, and interact with each other and how they behave while she's there. And, so she's not out there, I'm going to leave this, jar of peanut butter out there and come back and, oh, well, it's gone. I don't think the gorilla took it. Bigfoot took it. No, she don't do that. So, I think it's something that people need to consider and understand the difference. When if you're going to gift, it's the difference if you're leaving something and come back to check on it. Habituating is you got to be there observing the subject of study, and so that's just something to consider. But then again, also when it comes to if you're going to gift and leave food, which I think that's very touchy. I think there's certain safe foods that, like apples. A lot of people like leaving apples, which I think that's great. As far as I know, no one or no animal that I know of is allergic to it. But allergies, certain foods could be, harmful to some other species. So again, that's something we have to consider too. Are you causing harm to the animals? So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents. So.
Nikki, what do you think?
That's exactly what I think, that people are calling gifting habituating, and it's not. It's completely different, because maybe there are individuals out there who have them in their backyard and they see them every day, but they're not really recording any research. They're just saying, "Oh yeah, they're in my backyard," and that's about it.
Right.
That's not really habituating. That's just visually seeing an animal. They may be giving them food and stuff like that, but to actually say habituating, they really have to be changing the way that animal acts by giving them food and changing their natural way of obtaining that food.
Yeah.
Just like that lady and the bears. There was recently a story of a lady who was the bears were coming right up onto her porch because she's feeding them every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they take swipes at her and everything, but she don't care because she wants to feed the bears. And now those bears have become nuisance and they want other people to give them food.
Yep.
So, over time you can change any animal's how they do things. And just like you were talking about Blimp and the deer, after a certain time, those deer just begin to trust you, and they'll approach you, and they'll take off of your salt lick, and they'll come to wherever you leave your food or your scraps. So, but it's how you can't really prove that somebody's habituating, because of course all these people who are calling themselves habituators have no proof. Yep. They don't have one dang picture of the Bigfoot sitting on their porch talking to them. They don't have one thing of anything,
So basically it's going to have to come down to the redo the Patterson footage. It would have to be the Patty picking up a basket of apples and walking away with it.
Right. And then we're so crucial. We're so critical about what we see now on video. All of us right away, oh, that's fake. That's got to be fake. There's a zipper. That's a fake. And maybe there is some real ones out there, but we'll never allow that to happen. You know, it's unless it can be repeated. If you can go to the same place and catch the same animal over and over again, and then you start getting a little more credibility with that.
You'd be like the most famous person in the whole world.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
you know.
but then you have that whole idea of, okay, I am a habituator. I am seeing these things, and now I've fallen in love with them. I don't want them to be killed or taken for science. So now I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Right.
I'm not going to tell anybody. So we're not getting anywhere with that either. So it's going to be that way forever, I think. It's not going to change.
You brought up deer, and I was going to use something for example. For people, we'll use deer for example. People don't realize it, but there's certain people that actually habituate deer. Where, for example, I'll use my backyard because my landlords live up on the hill. Now, either in the morning when I'm leaving for work, they're like 30 feet in my backyard staring at me till I walk out. Or when I get to the car, I can see them. They're all alerted to me up in the yard, up in the field. Well, or vice versa. When I come home, sometimes they're there. Well, deer, they come to there because they got grass. There's plenty of food for them to eat and graze, and they're alerted to people, but they will run off. They do run off because they're running off because for caution's sake. Now here in Virginia, we have Skyline Drive, which is part of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Skyline Drive is also part of the Shenandoah National Park. It's not the national forest, but it's the national park. You could ride along there, and I've multiple times in the past when I've been up there, you could literally be within feet of deer. Deer will not move. You could get as close as 5 feet, between 3 and 5 feet from a deer up there. One thing, it's there's no hunting allowed up there, and the wildlife up there, they know this. It's a large abundance of wildlife up there, and so those deer are pretty much I guess they've been habituated enough to know that they're safe up there. People get to interact with them and observe them almost on a daily basis up there. So you could actually stay up there. You could observe them, and people could do this on their own property. If for example, you mentioned, Nikki, leaving a salt block out. If I start feeding these deer and showing them that, hey, I'm no harm, they're going to get used to me eventually. They're going to keep coming in that close, So, deer are a good example. That's why I wanted to use it because, like I said, the Skyline Drive, they're unharmed and people have close interactions with them and observe them all the time. So it would be awesome.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say it would be awesome to have that same thing, the same observations with Sasquatch. But like you said, maybe someone does have that, but we don't know about that.
Right. We don't. And the other point that you had made was, what are people actually gifting? Could it be something harmful?
Right.
And I don't think we should be giving them any kind of fake peanut butter, and that's not natural. Peanut butter is not a natural thing. Nuts are. You can give there's nuts in the forest. There's apples and berries, and but candy bars and donuts and all pizzas and all that stuff, whatever people are leaving out there, that's not natural. You shouldn't be leaving that stuff for them.
Anything that's processed with peanuts, there's a lot of people allergic to peanuts. Even a lot of stuff's made with maybe dairy products. Are they lactose intolerant?
Now they're saying there's that sweetener in the peanut butter that can kill your dog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
You have to look at the label, because if it has that artificial sweetener in it, it can kill your dog. So you got to be careful.
Hey guys, I'm going to be taking off in a few minutes. I'm going to get my recorder out real quick, and I'm going to go out there to the property and check it out. And I want to hear what this person's hearing.
Do a live thing out there.
Oh, I can't do that. Hey, number one, I don't
Best
know
of
how
luck.
to do it. Hey, number one, I don't know how to do it. And second, I have some equipment that a friend gave me, and which is basically old school. It's basically cassette, and with long wand for me to hear certain sounds. And also too, I needed to get say something as well. In
Yeah.
this area that I'm going to go to for years, people have been leaving deer parks during deer season out there, and it's real close to that Old Normanna Bridge, and so they've been leaving a whole bunch of deer parts out there. And this morning, when I was driving through there was a whole bunch of buzzers out there, and I knew well that somebody had actually threw down some parts to deer down there, and I'm pretty sure and I'm pretty sure that that's starting to attract them now. So and I'm kind of curious to go see what this certain sound is, because this person has never heard a sound like this before, and it's pretty wild because it's in three different sections. So it's basically around the house. So
Nice. Well,
yeah.
I wanted to show you something real quick, just for future reference. All right, hold on. Let me turn my camera on. All right. Now, I don't know if you can see this right here, but if you go on your Facebook, if you get signal and service out there,
Mhm.
if you go on your see, I know you can't see it. I'm on my main timeline.
Okay.
But if you go down to where where it says what's on your mind, where
Right.
you could post your post. See, right here I have where it says on right below that it says live photo or life event. Yeah, if you click live, you can start you could do a Facebook Live out there, or anywhere if you get signal of service. But if I'm just throwing it out there just in case if you ever wanted to do this.
Okay. How about if I do this? If I go down out there, and if I hear something that's out of the ordinary, I'll just hit that and check if I can
Okay.
probably get something like that up there.
Yeah. Yeah. It should. Yeah. If your phone, if it's loud enough, yeah, if there's a vocal out there, if it's loud enough, it should pick up. I mean, whoever's listening while you're live, if it's loud enough, we'll hear it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, like I said, all you have to do is go to your timeline on your own personal page, and right there where it says "What's on your mind," you'll have that. You'll have those options. So
Okay.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
All right, guys. I'll see you later. So,
Okay.
All right,
wish me luck.
all right.
Yeah,
Sounds
best
good.
of luck. Pack a gun. You don't know what might be out there, bro.
No, I'm just gonna stay in my truck. I'm just gonna stay in my truck. My truck.
What happens if Sasquatch comes and tries to rock your truck and push it over?
That's all right. I got a seatbelt, so
I
I'll be all right.
hope you got a roll cage in there.
It's an old Dodge truck. I have guns pretty close, maybe a few feet away. So
Well, if it's a Dodge truck, you got a tough truck. So
Oh yeah.
I'll probably bring my pistol, so just in case. So I really hate shooting stuff like that. So especially
Nice.
scaring anything off. So, but all right, guys. I'll see y'all later, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
Take care,
Good
bro.
luck.
Thanks for
Keep us
coming
updated.
on.
All right, nice meeting everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.
Nice.
All right. Well, since everybody else has been giving their bid on the habitual gifting deal, Bucky, what's your take on it, friend? Have you tried it before and got any results?
No, I find the only encounters I've had have been unexpected, right?
Mm.
So the only place that I could possibly do something like that is the one area that I think they go to as they pass through the area. They stop to feed in. Every year there's one spot I know they stop, and as to what week they might be in there for a couple of days, it's anybody's guess. It's in the middle of the summer. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to travel on a calendar, right? So now if you lived in an area where they're not just traveling through and they were there all the time, that'd be a great idea if it would work over time, even if it was just gifting, because if something like Bigfoot is going to slowly start taking something from you, sooner or later you're going to be able to get a picture. You know what I mean? Sooner or later. Yeah, and a good picture. if you're feeding it, okay, and it's coming there for food and it no longer cares, Like, okay, you're feeding him every day. He's coming, he's taking the food. So he knows you're leaving the food. He knows that. So he's no longer afraid of you're a human. He's no longer terrified of you being a human if he's coming and taking your food every day. Therefore, is he really going to be afraid to have his picture taken on a game cam, right? If he's coming there to eat anyways and he doesn't care that he's eating people food, he knows it's coming from people, right? That's my take on it, is that it'd be very easy to get a picture if that was possible, eh?
That's pretty good.
Trail cameras are like paparazzi to Sasquatch. You know, a lot of them don't want to be seen, but then again, you might catch it. You know,
exactly. They don't want to be in the spotlight at all.
Right.
They don't want any attention from anybody. They're not looking to be found. So, if you did have one or a couple, a small group, something, right? That for whatever reason they're too hungry or just don't care no more, whatever, they started eating from you, food that you're leaving out. Sooner or later, yeah, you'd be able to get a picture.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Any animal that's going to come take food from you, any animal that's going to come take food every day that you're going to leave a spot, right? You're going to be able to get his picture. He's there.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Well, here's something I want to share with everybody, and to me, it's safe and it's fun. I've shared this before with people where I've built a rock stack. You know, something that we go in the woods, we go hiking, we see rock stacks. A lot of times, it's very common that hikers and hunters do these, but some believe that Sasquatch is responsible for doing these. So, I've experimented with a rock stack before, and the thing is, if you're in an area, you know it has a history of activity, or you've experienced quite a bit in there.
Yeah.
I try to pick a location where it's hidden off of the beaten path, where, you know, if people come through there, you don't want them seeing it. But yet, if Sasquatch is passing through wherever, they'll take notice of it. So, to me, I did it for experimental purposes. I built a rock stack. You know, wasn't too high. You know, it had about 5, maybe 6 stones, and I would visit it, that rock stack, either once a week or every 2 or 3 weeks. You know, to come check on it. And sure enough, I was getting an interaction. What I found was, at one point, one of the top stone was removed and placed down beside it. And I placed it back and left it alone. And then another time, found a very fresh turkey feather laying down right in front of it. And I said, okay. It's very fresh. This could be a coincidence that it happens to be laying right here in front of my rock stack. You know, because there's a lot of turkeys near it. It could have came out of the turkey feathers while it was flying or whatever. Then again, could it, you know, I thought about the possibility. Could it have been placed there? So I decided to use that turkey feather. I removed the top stone, put the turkey feather on top, and put the stone back on top to hold it in place. That way the wind would blow it. Well, about 2.5, 3 weeks later, I returned back to there to find the feather removed, down on the ground in the original location where I found it, exactly where I found it, and the stone on the other side of the rock stack. I said, all right. I got to thinking, is somebody playing with me? Did an animal knock this over or whatever? I don't know. I found it fun because I kept this going for a little while. Because at another time I returned, the turkey feather was still intact, but it was turned facing the opposite direction, with the stone still sitting on top of it. So,
just subtle little things, eh?
Yeah, little things like that.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, these could have been coincidence, but I found that as a fun experiment to see if something would interact with it. If a Sasquatch was doing that, again, I have no proof, but you know, I would like to think that he may have been doing.
Did it just stop? Oh, I got a low battery. No worries. Did it stop happening for you, Daniel? Like, did it just go? Like, did it stop?
It actually, but honestly, yeah, it seemed the next 2 times after that I visited, I didn't see no more interaction out of it.
Yeah.
And it was probably about a little over a month ago I returned there, and the rock stack is still sitting there without the feather. So, but it's just
you know it was Fred Canny fooling with you.
Hey, you never know. It wasn't his area. So.
That's the thing.
He was fucking with you. You know it. Just say
it.
Well, you know,
See,
in other
hey,
areas
Daniel?
I've heard of. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, if that was the beginning stages of something, now if he had to move away on his migrational path to keep on eating, right? If he comes back next year, right? He comes back next year around the same time, he may leave another feather or another rock to show you that he's back. So, if say that was in the middle of summer, it might be worth watching that. If you could get one to come to the same place at the same time every year and just let you know he was there by subtle behavior, sooner or later, he's going to slip up and you're going to get him on camera,
Well,
sooner or later.
In this very same location where I have this rock stack set up, on 2 different occasions, there was one time I've had my daughter with me where for just beyond the woods, we were getting responses from our tree knocks, like constant banging. After we gave off a couple tree knocks, we were hearing boom, 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 like fairly close. And on a different occasion, it was actually 2 years ago, and it was January. It was pretty cool. Michael Cook was with me. Michael Cook came up from Kentucky, and it was the day before one of our local seminars we had a couple years ago. And so I took him up to the area. We walked through there. It was cold, a little windy. We weren't expecting nothing. But I took him a hike. We took a hike on one of the lower trails because there's a couple trails in that area. One goes up on a ridge. The other one stays below the ridge. So after going up there and we started to walk out, he for some reason just had the nerve to pick up a stick. And he started beating it as hard as he could on a down log, and then within moments we started getting responses like tree knocks from different directions all around us, and we were like, "Wow, this was unexpected. Weren't expecting nothing to happen," and because figured hey, it was cold. If they're in the area. That was quite a shock. You would think they would be further out, bunkered down somewhere. But apparently they may have been in the area feeding or something because there's a lot of deer in the area as well.
It always surprises you, it always surprises people in general when you have something happen and you're not expecting it. Eh? That's a lot of times that's one of the reasons that Bigfoot's just never been caught. It's unpredictable to us. It's almost like it doesn't do the things we think it's gonna, and then it does things that we don't think it's gonna do. You know what I mean? Like the only thing I can say for sure is like around here in my area, I know I got nothing going on in the winter. They're not here. They've moved out of the area. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know that. Like, I mean, I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure that nothing really ever happens. You know what I mean? It's more summertime, eh?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah, because that one day after hearing all those bangs and thumps all around us, after we walked back out to the forest road where we were parked, we were just standing there. We were talking, and next, in the middle of our conversation, we stopped because what we heard next from the direction where we just came from was a woo, and we stopped and we looked in that direction. And when we looked back, we were both smiling like, "That's cool."
Yeah. But you know how it is. The trouble is you go in and you try and have a look, and then it just goes right dead silent. We've all been there 100 times, and you just get nothing, eh? That's the thing, though. Exactly. And then it's either that, or they'll try and get you to interact with them at a time where you just don't want to. You know? Yeah, I had that once in my canoe, where I believe I may had two. It may have been like a couple of female squatch, and I say that because of the tone, the pitch, and the voice, and it was very low. And you guys know me; I'm always out in the middle of the night, all alone, on those rivers and in them creeks and all in the back hollers and that. And I'm out there all the time.
Oh, hey,
that one night though, when I was going by an area, it scared me. It was a very gentle, very calm, woo, like that. It came from the shoreline. It was almost like tempting me to come in, and I wouldn't go.
Right? Yeah. I don't blame you.
No.
It was the Bigfoot siren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seemed like a female just trying to call out, and it was one of those woohoos where it was like, "Woohoo, you come on in here, you look tasty, and you ain't gonna be seen no more." Like you're gonna, yeah. She wasn't looking for love. It didn't. It had that vibe to it, eh? So I was like, no, I'm not. Yeah. I kept circling the area, and nothing.
Now, I know you mentioned you go canoeing on the rivers and stuff. Did you mention that you do that at nighttime too?
Oh, all the time. I love that.
Reason I was curious about that because two different things. One, I recall on a documentary I watched where it was a Native American in a canoe. He had rocks thrown at him from from the high ground.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple years ago, I had back when I had my other vehicle because I had decals on there, and these couple young guys. These guys here are hikers and stuff, and they do a lot of canoeing on a lot of different rivers.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was just started asking questions and started sharing something. And in the next county over the other side of the mountain, he was going down this river. He said it was at nighttime, dark. He said he was going down the river and he had a couple big stones thrown in the water. While he was floating down the river. And I was like, now he says, I can't relate to the Sasquatch, but something made me think. He said, I wasn't near any residential. He said, I was pretty far into the river. And I said, that there is very interesting. Because when he shared that, I said, that sounds familiar. I've heard similar things like that before.
Yeah, the rock throwing, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that, thank God. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. No, but... No, I tell you, you have a very good chance in a canoe. I paddle, so no motor, very quiet, in the dark. What I run with is my kerosene lantern on the lowest possible flame I can have, and I'd put that at my feet in the bottom of my canoe. So that if I need to reach down, if I need to see for something, grab something in my canoe, I can see. But outside of that, I just run with my eyes, let your natural night vision out on the water. You don't have the darkness of the trees, so it's a little more lit up. You can see, eh? A little bit, and then you can take things by surprise by shining a mag light along the shore. I do have my night vision, so I get that out and I scan the shoreline. I'm hoping to come around the corner some night and just be face to face. I really am.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There was a comment on the chat about you talking about your female screamer that you had calling to you. It says that's pretty creepy. Perhaps she was looking for a new man.
Yeah, it scared me. It scared me. That was two females, and the one was like, ooh, and it was just when they say everything goes dead quiet.
Yeah.
It does. And I had a couple birds that like daytime kind of birds that should never have made a sound. They were kind of made like an alarm behind me, and man, it was just the creepiest feeling. With that coming from the darkness, because it's like, what two human girls are out in the middle of nowhere, and I mean nowhere, not in a campsite, like this is the middle of nowhere, hiding in the bushes in the dark, doing that to scare somebody. Nah, you know what I mean? And it was deep. The woohoo thing, when the woo, it was like a female tone to the sound, but very deep. And that was just like, wow, you know what I mean? I couldn't believe that. That was like almost worse than the male. Probably almost worse than running into a male. I think you run into a male, you're going to surprise them like, holy shit. But those females, that was like they were calling me in. You know what I mean? And that kind of felt like you go walking in there, you're not coming out there. That's what that felt like. Yeah.
Well, guys, I know Buck is running low on battery. I'm running low on battery too. I've had fun tonight, guys. Let's do this again sometime. Buck, keep us up to date. What you find in the field, my friend, send it to me or put it out in the group. Baltimore's already on the trail of a new lead, which is pretty cool. Daniel, we got the conference coming up. We got my conference coming up July 27th, 2019, Marion, Illinois, Carnegie Library. Everybody's invited to come out to that. But before we go, Daniel, you remember those 3 pictures I sent you today?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Those.
Well, there's one I forgot. There's one that I forgot to show you, and I'll tell you guys, it is a scary, scary sucker.
Let's see it.
Everybody, brace yourselves for what you're about to see.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
I had to.
That's Zach Buck for you. If you don't know, that's Zach laying on a air mattress in my house with my daughter's teddy bear.
Oh yeah.
That blip in his natural habitat.
I could tell it was Zach. I just didn't know what the teddy bear was for sure. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun.
Man.
I want to say thank you to you guys for having me on. This is a lot of fun, and yeah, anytime I'd love to be on. It's no problem, eh?
Absolutely. Hey, if you could
Well,
make
I
it
tell you what,
to
I'm
the States, we would love to have you come out to the conference. This next year.
I slowly started saving some money up so I could get away on a Bigfoot trip, and my wife said I could go. So
nice.
I'm slowly saving money, and you know what that's like. It's hard, but I have a Bigfoot jar with a Bigfoot painted on it, and when that jar is full, I'm out of here and I'm coming to the States. I'm coming to see all you guys, eh? Yeah. So, yeah, one of these days I'll be there.
Where are you exactly?
I'm down in Canada. I'm in Ontario.
In Ontario.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because on the highways around here, I see people from their license plates say Ontario. I see a lot of people from Ontario driving to Virginia all the time. So
I'm gonna have to hitchhike. I'm gonna have to hitchhike down there with one of them guys. I'll just jump in. Yeah,
they must be a lot of them must be the older retired people that got money.
Yeah, especially if they're hauling their trailers and whatnot, camping and stuff, and they travel around this summer. Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been fun. Buck, I'm going to throw the information out to you since now I'm able to get a hold of you now. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for a guest. Backwoods Investigations. I'd love to have you on.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, anytime. I love talking Bigfoot, and I'll make sure my phone is charged up more next time. But anytime. For sure.
We got you situated, so I know how to get a hold of you. You know how to get a hold of me, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, everybody.
It's been fun.
Well, everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in. I want to throw a couple shout outs here. If you go down in the description, you'll see talking about its links to all the Facebook pages and the YouTube channels. Be sure to check out Daniel's YouTube channel, Brown and Dan Lindholm, Big Truth, Kruse, Jena Grover, the Squatchers, Michael Cook and Gwendolynn Guthrie, Uncharted Normal Para-Cryptid Studies. Be sure to check out the Illinois Bigfoot Conference. The Facebook link is in the description, along with the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters. Be sure to check out the ECBRO Virginia Bigfoot Con coming up here this next year, the Squatchers YouTube channel, Tracy hiking with the Sasquatch Outlaw, Cryptid CSI that Manuel are with along with Baltimore, and also be sure to check out Grover's G by the Sea jewelry page. She's got a lot of cute stuff that she made and that she's selling. But until then, everybody, I want to say thank you for coming on. Everybody that's been on my panel, Nikki, Bucky, Daniel, and Baltimore. I thank you guys so much for taking time out of your nights. Thank you everybody for tuning in. But before we go, I want to throw out my brother, the Barner. He's turning 17 on Monday, on December the 3rd. So I want to wish my brother a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Whoop.
All right, everybody. Well, everybody have a very good night. This is Blimp, Buck Nye, Nikki Cologne, and Daniel Benoit saying, keep a wary eye, keep your ears to the wind and your nose to the ground, and we'll see you guys next time. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye.
Later, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys.
Peace.